Well, it has two uses. One is that if you come across a lightly armored tank that you don't want to waste your 3-inch gun shell on, yeah, this is when this guy comes in handy. Or you can use this to basically trick the enemy into pushing out of cover, and then you use a big gun to finish the guy off. Just be careful about one thing though. Nowadays players are a little bit wiser than that, so don't count on this trick working anytime soon. Gotcha! So the last time I played the M6A1 Heavy Tank, I was wondering why on earth does this thing have such a powerful horsepower engine? Well, I did found out why. This engine is the Rheinar 1820 Cyclone engine. You don't know what that is? Well, to put it in simpler terms, this is the engine that powered B-17 bombers. Hey guys, it's Jim here, and welcome back to War Thunder. And in today's video, we are checking out one of the vehicles that was added in the previous patch that actually confuses the heck out of me for a little bit. This is the T1E1, and I was looking at it and I'm like, isn't this like a copy-paste M6A1 apart from the curve edges and whatnot? So what's so special about this thing? I looked around and eventually I found out that this version of the M6A1 has a upgraded transmission, the electrical transmission, that allowed it to have the same max speed going backwards as it is going forward. Otherwise, that's about it. It just reverses better than literally anything else. Otherwise, everything else about this tank is pretty much the same. Like the armor, upper front plate is 101mm right here, 82mm with some really weird angles here and there. But then again, this type of armor is something I don't really trust at 5.0 to bounce anything anytime soon, especially since you're not a German tank. So that's something you need to be careful of. Just because it says this thing is a heavy tank doesn't mean that it's going to bounce a lot of shells. Now you might be thinking, oh, I can just angle, right? Well, like the M6A1, no, that isn't happening. And now moving on to the sides, you're probably wondering, why am I going to talk about the sides? Because every time I'm just going to say the same thing. Anytime any tank gets onto your side, you're basically screwed. Well, this one in particular is something you need to be careful of because, sure, you have 70mm down here on top of, underneath a 25mm plate right here. What I'm more worried about is this. 44mm of armor right here. Why does this matter? Because autocannons, anti-air vehicles will definitely tear you up. Especially at 5.0 battle rating, you will definitely see, well... But anyway, moving up to the turret, you have 100mm of armor right here, which I thought is gonna bounce a lot of shells, but the answer is no. And the reason is because I was comparing this with the M6A1 in the past, where they decided to make this thing variable thickness, which has some really interesting results. But yeah, this is an answer to actually penetrate because sometimes this spot is a little bit sketchy. 50mm sitting underneath another 50mm and it's curved at some areas. Double 8 armor right here, I won't be surprised if you bounce a lot of shells with this. And now moving on to the firepower of this thing, just like the M6A1, it has the M7 3-inch gun, the 76mm big gun that you can find on the M10 as well as the M6A1. And of course, this is the shell that we'll be firing, the armor piercing cap ballistic cap shell. That pans up to 149mm of armor with 65 grams of explosive mass. You will definitely one-shot most tanks you come across, unless of course it's one of those really spaced out tanks. But the good news is that with like the M6A1, this shell does seem to pan angles a little bit better than the German 76. I'm not exactly sure what's the reason behind this. But yeah, this is the shell that will be running. You have your high explosive just in case. And this used to be like the in case you need Jesus shell, but yeah. But they did the thing where they swapped the armor penetrating value. Anyway, to top it off, you also have a 37mm right here, the M3 37mm, the same gun that you'll be seeing since 1.7, 2.3, 2.7, all the way up to 5.0. And if you're thinking this is going to be useless, well, it has two uses. One is that if you come across a lightly armored tank that you don't want to waste your 3-inch gun shell on, yeah, this is when this guy comes in handy. Or you can use this to basically trick the enemy into pushing out of cover, and then you use a big gun to finish the guy off. Just be careful about one thing though. Nowadays players are a little bit wiser than that, so don't count on this trick working anytime soon. 37mm goes. You have the armor piercing cap ballistic cap shell that pans up to 87mm of armor. No explosiveness. So this is something you should use on like lightly armored vehicles, or the enemy tank is basically showing their broadside at you like an idiot. And on top of the 37mm, in case you really want that lightly armored vehicle gun, you have 1, 2, and 3 50 caliber machine guns, and yes, they're all working. Oh my goodness. Anyway, the other specs on the gun. You can carry up to 75 rounds of ammunition for the M7 3-inch gun, as well as 202 rounds of ammunition on the M3 37mm. I say bring less, because they're all going to be up here. Like, this may be like an explosive accident waiting to happen, but I'm pretty sure bringing all 200 rounds is really not a good idea. Oh dear. Either rate, 6.3 seconds now. I'm running as per Cron with max thought, weapon reloading, and high level tank commander, but 6.3 seconds is really not too bad. Hold on, let me check the stock reload. 7.6 seconds. Still kind of long a little bit, so yeah, you might want to put your points in the weapon reloading department. But anyway, it's not too bad. 3 seconds on the 37mm, which is why this is the, in case you come across a lightly armor tank, you don't want to waste your 3-inch gun shell on. Vertical guidance, negative tank gun depression, which is excellent if you're playing hold down instead. And finally, for both guns, you have a gun stabilizer vertical, which is actually pretty useful considering that this thing is an American tank, so it's around like 20-25 kilometers an hour effective, as well as this is a heavy tank that isn't really that fast. So yeah, gun stabilizer and this thing's weight and speed is really a good mix. So how about this thing's mobility? Like what I mentioned in the intro, yes, this is a very powerful horsepower engine given that it powered the B-17 bombers, the C-47 transport planes and all that, with a serious overheating issue. But anyway, with this much horsepower engine, plus the fact that you have a very wider set of tracks, the fact that you weigh 60 tons is really not an issue for this thing, honestly. Like 37 kilometers an hour, and the fact that you can actually build up to the speed pretty quickly, it's actually pretty good for a heavy tank. Just be careful that you don't get too cocky, because this is not something I would play super aggressively with, considering that the armor doesn't really work. And the good news is that you have the electrical transmission upgrade from the M6A1 instead. So that means, yes, you are definitely going forwards and backwards with the same speed. So make use of that as reverse gear if you're going backwards, in and out of cover, after in between your 3-inch gunshots. And so there you have it. This is the T1E1 Heavy Tank. Will this be up to 5.3 very soon? I really doubt that, honestly, because this is basically like the M6A1. Like, it's really not the best armored heavy tank, and the only reason why this thing is performing so well is because it's facing... yeah. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about T1E1. Now let's take this thing out to battle, and let's just destroy everybody we look at. Shall we? You missed one, Panther. Yeah, I can get it from this angle. Bro, you had a problem dealing with a Churchill NA-75. YOLO! Uh-huh.
To the designated grid zone. Excuse me!
Maybe someone was needed.
Thank you! Thank you very much. Allied forces have captured a zone. Enemy forces have captured a zone. Thank you very much. Attention to the designated grid zone.
Come on, give me a heavy tank, I need one more.
Attention to the designated grid zone.
There we go. Know when I'm this close, buddy. Did not see him in a second. Ah, shite. Thanks for doing that. Oh. Kinda stole that one, but yeah. I need the stupid achievement done. I wanna help you, but I can't see anything. I'm not hitting the guy. What is with me and hitting everybody's cannon breach?
We no longer have the advantage. Allied forces have captured a zone.
How much you gonna bet there's a PA coming?
Just keep it up, and victory will be ours.
And I'm beating the big guy. There it is. Ah. Yeah, that is disgusting as hell. Do I really want to do this thing? Yeah. Get having guys. Thank you, season off.